This is not a lecture in law or the vagaries of different regulation. What we want to do is signpost you through some of the regulatory environment as it exists, but keep it very light touch, because we see from an industry perspective, we see this as an opportunity. We're not here to stop you doing anything. We're hoping that if we give you some insights into the environment that we work in, that there may be opportunities to cooperate and work with you. So really simple stuff. If you're not collecting money from people for travel, tourism, events or whatever, you're in a very safe space. If you are actually collecting money, it starts to move within a more regulatory framework. And the primary piece of regulation that we use in the travel industry, or that's imposed on us, is an EU directive called the Package Travel Directive. This is in place since 1990. It was revised in 2015. There's another set of revisions going on at the moment, and it's a pan-European piece of legislation. And it's all about protecting the consumer. Anything EU Commission oriented will put business second and consumer first. So it's around, consumers who purchase travel in the EU to any travel destination fall within the Package Travel Directive. And another really quick and easy thing, in general, and a lot of this has to be quite general and potential and kind of inverted commas, a single travel service is generally not regulated under the Package Travel Directive. So just one item of travel, maybe accommodation or something single, generally doesn't fall. There are variations on that. A combination of travel services could potentially be caught under the Package Travel Directive. And then there's, what are the obligations? What it's about? Like, it is consumer protection, and the obligation is that you must provide the holiday or the trip as booked. And if you can't, you're obliged to refund. And if you don't refund, you're obliged to provide an alternative of exactly the same standard value, et cetera, et cetera. And in Ireland, our regulator is the Irish Aviation Authority. It used to be the Commission for Aviation Regulation. It's now the IAA. And we'll share these as Michael said, and there's some very straightforward documentation from the EU Commission on where they see this regulation moving. It's not an unwieldy document. It's about 15 pages, but it's quite bullet pointed in terms of giving anybody with any level of common sense and understanding of how the rules apply. Other considerations that fall within the Package Travel Directive or fall within your remit if you're doing anything travel related are things like public liability implications. So the Package Travel Directive is designed to protect the consumer, but if that consumer is abroad on a trip, on holidays, on an event, or at something that you have organised, there are the potential implications for you of public liability cover. So outside of the Package Travel Directive, if that person falls, has an accident, injures themselves, whatever, you're liable. And that's when things can really start to get crazy. There's a piece in the Irish Times today, it's in the Daily Mail and the Irish Times, of a lady who fell 3 times in the one hotel in Donegal. And a judge last week awarded her $230,000 for her 3rd fall, and said she was a very credible and good witness in her case. $230,000. It's why travel companies like ours and other travel companies here have very high public liability insurance premia, because it's part of the risk that goes with the space that we operate in. And in terms of, leave the public liability and the kind of accidental things aside, even just look fairly recently where things have happened and where, because you've put a holiday or a trip or 2 elements together, you have absolute obligations to the consumer to deliver that, irrespective of what happens. So you're the organizer, you're responsible, you're liable. So Aer Lingus pilots strike last year. Yeah, Aer Lingus are going to refund the flight that they've cancelled, but you still have to get the person to the destination. And you may have prepaid the hotel, or you may have prepaid guides and different services in the destination. That's your problem, nobody else's problem. You're back to refund in full for services that you may have paid out, and the hotel is going to go. The fact that you have a strike in Ireland is really of no concern of mine. The collapse last year of FTI, there was quite a lot of media coverage around FTI, very big German company, over 100 subsidiaries, one of which was U-Travel, had serious implications for some travel companies in terms of their obligation, again, to sort the accommodation and the holiday for the consumer. and it's at their expense, nobody else's expense. And then even Stormy Own, like we had countless numbers of people cancelled the week before last in terms of getting to cruise destinations, getting to travel destinations. Again, it's our responsibility. Under the PTD, we can't go, oh, it's the weather. No, that's the consumer. You've provided a holiday for them. Your obligation is to do so. So these are just kind of simple solutions, simple suggestions as to where things can happen that we may not think of. Oops. And these are the kind of what ifs. And they cover a lot of what I said. What if you're only pointing somebody in the direction of a website? What if you're only doing one service? What if you're doing more combination services? And what if it's, just accommodation with no flights? All of these things are important considerations. But what we're more interested in is the opportunities and the potential for you to work with the industry. So I'm speaking more today in terms of the Irish Travel Agents Association and how we as a group of travel agents, travel companies and tour operators may be able to partner and work with you to ensure that you're doing what you do well and we're doing what we do well. We're in no situation are we kind of saying, don't do it. We're saying, there might be an opportunity to cooperate. And there's quite a huge variety of members with different levels of specialties where opportunities may exist for you to partner. And at all times, we would be saying to you, make sure whoever you're partnering with is listed on the Irish Aviation Authority's website. Better again, have them based in Ireland so that you can talk to them. .ie doesn't mean that they're based here, doesn't mean they staff here, doesn't mean they're going to care about the service levels that you need. But as an absolute minimum, make sure you've checked the Irish Aviation Authority's website from a financial protection point of view. But we see lots of opportunities. That's it. Thank you very much for your time.